Hello, Savat the Mighty here, and welcome back to another episode of Eve Echoes. So we're back on the Fulmination test server, and today we're going to be taking a look at more ship requests. Today's request is the Dominix. Now, when going through the Dominix, I already had a general idea of what people are using for drone boats, so I went ahead and put something together here. But before we actually jump into everything, if you would, go ahead and please leave a like on the video, subscribe, and ring that notification bell if you want to be notified whenever I do release new content. All right, with that out of the way, let's go ahead and get started. So the Dominix is going to be a Tier 9 battleship. This battleship is a Galente battleship, and its bonuses that it gets are large drone operation bonus per level, 40% drone DPS, not large drone DPS, just regular all small, medium, and large drone DPS, 5% drone optimal range, 5% drone tracking speed per level. Now, for Battleship Command bonus per level, it gets plus 10 km drone control range. The ship's overall defense is 70,441 with a flight velocity of 131, warp speed of 3 AUs, power grid output of 6,912 megawatts. Capacitor is 7,430 gigajoules with a cargo hold capacity of 1,200 M3. Okay, so I went ahead and fitted out this battleship, and if you actually notice in here, probably one of the first things that you're looking at is that DPS and that drone range over there. We're going to talk about all of that in just a second. First off, in my high slots, I went ahead and I chose 4 guessed C-type large strike cannons. The reason why I decided to go with the strike cannons is they do have an optimal range of 54.94 and a fall off of 53.27. Before I go any further, let me just let you know that this is on the test server, so all skills are maxed. So this is also taking into account you would have 555 in all of your large cannon skills as well. Okay, so that disclaimer out of the way. We have those in here because this is going to give us over 100 km range. And with that over 100 km range, we are going to be able to do 50% of this listed DPS here. Now, with those cannons also, they actually have a very high damage and a long refire time. So the damage on them is actually going to be surprising. Now, that would put them at about 141 damage that they're going to be doing instead of that 282, but they're actually able to do that damage at these ranges. Again, like we just talked about, this ship is sitting at 100 km range with the drones and 842.84 DPS currently. Say that because right now I have a load of medium drones in here. These medium drones can be replaced for large. I was actually out testing out this ship, and we'll talk about my drone choices here in a little bit. Next, let's talk about the defense. The defense on this ship, it's sitting at a total of 104,079, with 25,141 in the shields, 29,912 in the armor, and 30,469 in the structure. The shields have 0 EM resistance, 20 thermal, 46% kinetic, and 50% explosive. The armor has 50% EM, 35% thermal, 36% kinetic, and 10% explosive. Alright, and the structure hit points do have that flat 33% across the board. For the capacitor on this ship, it is not cap stable with what I have set up here. However, that is because it is using a micro warp drive. If you take that off, it is. Capacitor capacity is 12,120 gigajoules with a recharge time of 864 seconds. And targeting, its radar sensor strength, points, scan resolution, 151, signature radius, 310, max locks is 7. Navigation, the ship is moving at 189.95, and it has a warp time of 12.29. Excuse me. Okay, and let's look here. For its power grid, maximum power grid is 10,368 with max skills. I'm currently using 7,487 with this fit. In our mid slots, I have one Haley target painter. I have a Predator warp scram, which could possibly replace with another Haley target painter. I just have the warp scram and the webifier on here, just in case anything does get close range. You can lock them up a little bit, let your drones take care of them, but it might not be necessary, and those might be all be able to just be replaced with target painters. And the reason for that is going to be explained right now. So the drone bay on this ship is huge. So right now I have the Mark 9 Vespas in there, and we can see that if we go back to offense, that it does 842.84 DPS with the medium drones. Let's go ahead and swap those out for large drones. Now, the drones I had made here are just these types. You can use any type. I mean, obviously there's going to be more optimal drones to use for different situations. You're going to have your faster drones, which are going to be the Mimitar ones, which most people prefer to use. But I just have these created because I already had a slew of them created. These are all Mark 9 drones. I have Mark 9 smalls, Mark 9 mediums, and the Mark 9 large. With the large drones, this is actually doing 1053 DPS. But I don't like starting with the large drones. But I want to show that off, that it does do that. Now, I normally don't fly drone boats, but I have a lot of friends who do, and I have dabbled in drone boats myself. Okay. So the reason why we have those displayed first is because a lot of times whenever you're first going into battle, you're going to have smaller ships to deal with. Now, I did experiment around with actually having the smalls listed in there, and what we'll do here is actually, I will show you what the DPS looks like with the smalls in as well. And this is so finicky. Trying to change your drones out, it makes it actually very hard to do in combat. So me being lazy, I kind of default to me. All right. So with small drones in here, this is doing 493.78 DPS for the drones, which is still a big chunk of change. But I found that the small drones really aren't ever needed for me whenever I was playing. So I'm going to put the mediums back in for now. There we go. And we're going to go into our bottom slots. So on here I have Nest Swarm drone damage amplifiers. I actually have 3 of these in here. Some of these modules might not be available in the game currently, but I'm hoping everything will be available whenever this ship is released, so just kind of take that with a grain of salt. I do have a Corpus C-type large armor repairer, and I'm using a GIST C-type large micro warp drive. These 2 slots over here, the third damage amplifier, and this, the Eagle tracking computer, these are up for debate. So the damage amplifier for the drones, you may want to keep in there. The tracking computer, what this is actually used for is the cannons. It lets the cannons have that over 100 km. If we actually take this off of here, it can still hit over 100, but with that, they have that little bit more range that's going to keep that at its 50% damage. What I was experimenting around in this slot here was a armor hardener, adaptive armor hardener, or another shield or armor repper, in case you actually need those, which might be the case if you're actually doing some of the storyline missions. But for now, I like being able to use the cannons, reach out and touch somebody with those, as well as having all the extra damage on the drones since we are so far out. Now that brings us to the rigs. And the rigs, in the bottom right here, we have the Semiconductor Memory Cell 3, and I have his 2 brothers, Semiconductor Memory Cell 3 and Semiconductor Memory Cell 3. Over here, I'm using a Drone Control Range Augmenter 3 for an increased 15. I have a Drone Speed Augmenter 3. And I have a Drone Firepower Augmenter 3. So it theoretically, not even theoretically, it is possible to get another 30 km range out of this ship, to get it up to 130 km. You are going to lose DPS for that, but that would put you way, way out there, which can be very awesome for a lot of our PvE pilots who maybe want to add on a little bit of time to their missions, but want to be extremely safe. I don't think that's 100% necessary. I think you can actually slap a little bit more tank on this ship and just tank through a lot of the stuff and be able to do damage. Okay, so I think that's everything that covers what's going on with this ship. let's go ahead and pick up a mission. Go do it and see how it performs. All right. So I'm just going to pick up one of these. These are the tier 10 missions. So all of these guys are going to be tier 10 ships. The tier 10 missions, I think, are going to be a little bit better for this. So you can change your drones on the fly in space. If you already fly a drone boat, you probably know this already. But I wanted to kind of bring that up. It's one of the reasons why I like to start with the mediums and have the larges handy. I can move over to the larges and take out the battleships later, and use the mediums for all of the smaller ships first.
Warp drive active.
Now, that's also another reason why I don't really have anything grouped up, because I am going to have to be swapping these guys out. I don't know if I do group them all up, if that would make it easier or not. And you guys who fly the drone boats may know if it's easier to swap these out in the middle of combat than the way that I do it. Okay, so we're definitely going to cancel. We want to come in. Well, first off, let's say, where's our cosmic anomaly? Security threat, we're going to warp in at 100. And we just kind of want to return basically the same type of style that I was using with all the laser boats that had the extreme range and all the kiting fits. We want to turn around and head back, but we want to make sure that we stay within that 100 km range. I would definitely recommend setting your approach for this to 99. The reason is if you set it at that 100, you might bounce back and forth outside of your actual range. So first things first, we want to lock up the tiny ships. We want to make sure that they're going to get locked first. And we can go ahead and approach, and we're going to use our micro warp drive for this. Okay, our first ship is targeted. Okay. Already dead, and that was just from the cannons. Let's turn back on the micro warp drive. We're going to get a little bit closer to this guy. Now, as you can see in the bottom right there, those cannons have a very, very long fire time. But they're going to help us do some pretty good damage. Okay. So we're good now. We can just kind of sit out here and let these guys do their thing. Since we are at the bigger ships, I do apologize. I need to bring all of these guys back. I made a mistake. We can't swap out our drones until they have returned. Okay, now that these guys have returned, we can come in here. And we can set up all of these. And somebody with better experience with this can probably do this a whole lot better. Alright, so we have our flight of large drones ready now. So we can send those bad boys out. They are going to be much slower. But see, that cannons are actually doing some work out at this range. They'll get there eventually. Okay, there they are. They're starting to do damage. Move them over to the next target. We're going to hit focus fire a couple of different times here, because sometimes they like to not. And we'll activate one of the drone damage amplifiers. Puts us at 1,331 DPS. And we'll just let those guys go to town. And our cannons will be back here doing work. and everybody's happy. Okay, I'm actually going to switch targets over to the Hyperion. And I should have actually gone for the Hyperion first, because I'm going to want to finish off the Myrmidon with the medium drones. So when the next wave spawns, I have those ready. So there's a whole lot of stuff happening over there. There are a bunch of happy little drones. We can activate one of the other damage amplifiers. They can get to work doing some serious work on that battleship. You can feel free to activate multiple. If we have 2 of them activated at the same time, we're doing 1,613 DPS. And technically we're doing more than that because our cannons are still within that 50% range, so 1,755. Which is why I actually like the large cannons for this fit. We're going to spend a lot more time out here than we are close up. If anything does get close up to us, we do have our medium drones and we have our light drones. They can go ahead and take care of anything that's going to be there. So having these cannons being able to reach out and touch things is, I think, a bigger help than having the close range weapons where we're not going to be most of the time. Now, the cool thing about this ship is because it gets its damage bonus to all drone types, and not just the large, it has the ability to fight this way. Approach that. Are you guys not returning? Can you please come back? All of you? Come back? These drones are very intelligent. Return! Return! Thank you. Alright, so once you get your drones to return, and this is why I kind of just like having the mediums in there all the time. They do enough damage. They're able to take care of the large ships and the small ships. And then on some of the tougher missions when you have multiple battleships, putting them out then is probably going to be your better bet. But for the most part, you'll probably just use an array of mediums. If you're coming into this from Earth Prophecy or whatnot, you're probably going to have all the medium skills higher than the large drone skills anyway. So you're probably just going to get your large drone skill, the main one, up to get the full array of bonuses with this, and then go back to using the mediums, which you'll actually probably get more damage out of at the time, and they'll be more effective. Okay, so now we can lock up the smaller ships here. Alright. And we're going to let these guys get into range. This guy is coming at us pretty quickly. This should be fine. We'll kill him in just a moment. There we go. Cannons are going to apply a little bit of damage before the drones get there. Let's actually just start approaching completely on this guy. We're going to turn on the micro warp drive. No. I do want to approach that guy. Okay. Next, we're going to take out this Atreon 2. He is 68 km away. Our cannons just blapped him. Now we move on to the next one. And we can turn off the micro warp drive. As you can see, our capacitor really isn't doing anything because those cannons, they're not taking away from it, which really gives this ship a lot of different options that it can use in all of its slots. Nope, I want to approach you. I want to focus fire you. Again, with better drone control, you're probably going to do this so much better than I. I don't normally fly a drone boat, so my controls may be all over the place, and I apologize about that part. I still think that this still showcases what this ship is capable of doing, and it does it extremely well. Alright, so we'll activate another one of our drone damage amplifiers. Let's actually activate all three just for funsies. And it's at 1,452 DPS with the medium drones. But yeah, recalling those and putting out the large drones just takes a long time sometimes. And these drones are a bit finicky, so sitting here with the medium drones on a battle like this just seems better for me. If you're doing T10s and you clear out all the little ships and then you have 4 or 5 battleships left, yeah, it's going to make a whole lot of sense to switch out to those large drones at that time if you have all of the skills built up in them, because they are going to do more damage and actually speed up your time, even though you spent 20 seconds or so pulling them back and then changing them out. But for these little news missions, I really don't see it. The armor repper there that I have also, it's, I mean, up for debate. When you're doing things like the news missions and whatnot, you're probably not going to take any damage, so you could replace that with something else that you want as well. But I did want to have something in there just in case. Your 3 mid slots, again, the target painters might be the best things because they're going to actually apply something at the ranges, at least. And unlike a lot of other ships, because you can switch out for even the small drones, you don't have to worry about the frigates actually getting up on you. What are they going to do? You recall your large drones or your medium drones, you put out the smalls, and they blap blap dead. So there's not much that would really give you any type of trouble, so it really makes the fittings on this kind of opened up for whatever you want them to do. Yeah, I'm just activating stuff for fun. So with 2 of those active on the mids, we're looking at 1,291 DPS. At this stage of the game, I think they're lasting for 44 seconds with max skills. Yeah, activation time 44 seconds. So, yeah, it really goes between, with this ship, your damage versus how far out you want to be. If you want to go out to 130, you can get out to 130. Sit out there way more safely. But you can also venture a bit closer and have those slots opened up for more of a tank or more damage to do things quicker. It's completely up to you. You're going to find the mix that's going to work right for you and the content that you do once you do get into the ship. Again, like I said, if I was doing the tier 10s, I would have a bit more of a tank on this. Whether it be a second armor wrapper or maybe a armor hardener just to reduce the amount of damage that I take. I would have to experiment around with it for a little bit. Also, too, you would probably optimize your drones for what you're fighting and bring flights of those. Yeah, having the ones that do the explosive would probably be much better. Now, it doesn't really matter once you're in hull. They have 33 resistance to everything in hull, so all your drones are going to do the same amount of damage to hull. And Galente ships are mostly hull. They have more hull than anything else. in most cases. Okay, so this guy's going to be dying here in a second. Let's go ahead and approach our warp away point and see how far away these guys spawn. Okay. We can actually turn around. Okay, our buddy is locked. Send in the drones. It's getting closer and closer. Our drones got there. Our cannons are blapping. All right. Let's turn this puppy around and get approaching so we can get into range of these other ships while we're taking that little guy out. Let's activate the micro warp drive. And let's return all of our drones. Alright, that's just the cannons. What we're going to do for this is we're going to go into our fittings. And we're going to replace, once we're able to. That guy outside again. Come on. Send a drone bay. There we go. These things are so finicky to change out. Go. I think there's one more. Yeah. Okay. So let's send out the drones. Approach that guy. Oops. Yeah, I'm not very good with this drone controlling stuff, so I do apologize if that is irritating you drone experts out there. But we're going to get those large drones out there and going on, and we're going to approach the guy that's furthest away to put them in range. And we're going to hit that guy with our cannons. He should be out there far enough that we don't care. We're going to wait till we start seeing damage on that thorax, and we're going to activate our drone damage mods. And, oh, see, we missed. We missed the Patreon 2. There we go. Let's activate our damage. Watch them go to town. Oh, let's activate all 3 damage. And with the large drones, we're at 1,815 DPS. Okay, and we're in a pretty good spot here. We can stop that. I think that's going to be one of our big reasons why we haven't hit this Atreon. Why aren't you guys doing anything? Get over there and start murdering. Okay. We can turn off the micro warp drive. Yeah, we have our other stuff over here. I guess we could activate that. That might help us hit that dude. Oh, 492. Big damage. There we go. We finally got a clean hit on him. So yeah, I mean, as you can see, it's going to be pretty safe with the ability to control when your drones are out, what drones you're sending out, and having these cannons here just backing you up, able to actually produce a big chunk of damage. And it's not using your cap, makes the ship extremely cap stable. It can have a pretty good tank on it at 100 km plus out. It's going to be an amazing ship for all of you drone pilots, and I'm really excited to be able to present it to you. This is going to be awesome, and it's going to be available in less than 2 months. And so all of the modules and everything may not be available, but the ship should be out within less than 2 months. We're going to be hitting tier, and it's an exciting ship for all of you PvE pilots who love drones. I would recommend, if this is your goal to get into, and train up the large drone skill now and get that to 5. Just need to get the 1 to 5, and you can use your medium drones in here just as effectively with that 1 skill to 5. So whatever you were able to do in a prophecy before, just imagine doing it better. Everything better. This is going to be a potato of doom, and it's going to be amazing. This is going to break open content for a lot of people, I believe. If you were having trouble doing T10 solo before, I think this ship is going to make you do solo like nobody's business. I would, however, take a look at all of the rigs and stuff that are going to be involved with these drone ships. Once this ship comes out, those rigs prices are going to explode. So I would start saving up and getting the pieces that you want to have on this ship now, and look into purchasing your drone blueprints or your drones themselves now, and not waiting for the price to go skyrocketing, because everything is going to explode the closer this gets to these tier 9 ships coming out. This thing is going to be an absolute beast in PvE, and it is just going to terrorize the skies of all of the PvE content and all of the storyline missions. With the ability to change your drones out here and its ability to actually get damage bonus to all, the small, medium, and large, it's going to be a force to be reckoned with. And you're going to have so many different fits that are going to have this thing going out at 130 km and just staying super safe, to fighting much closer up than maybe even we are and just doing insane damage with a pretty good tank on it. It's going to be able to do a lot of different things that you wouldn't think would be possible. This is just one version of this ship, and it's going to be utterly amazing in my opinion. I love everything about it, and I'm excited. I might even try to jump into one of these as well alongside one of my laser ships and see what I can do with this king of drones. Alright, that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. I hope you enjoyed the ship. If you do want to see any types of ships that are on the test server or want to go over anything, please leave me a comment below. You can follow me on Twitter at Savat the Mighty, or join us on the Discord. I appreciate your time, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.